Welcome back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at weather for the next 8 to 10 days, so that's taking us more or less towards the bank holiday weekend, and then we'll have a look at the weather possibly for September, going out into the start of September. Could be some quite interesting weather actually going into the start of September. Before I get on with all that though, just talk about the advertising. There's green keyword ads on my pages at gazweathervids.com. Rolling your cursor over green keywords will display the ads, but if you click through the word, you go to the advertised website, and by doing that, you're supporting gazweathervids.com. Thanks very much for doing that. So we'll start off with the 850 millibar ensembles from the GFS model. The red line here, the thick red line, is where we should be at this time of the year. We're a bit below average at the moment. We haven't been below average that much through this summer, but certainly at the moment we are a bit below where we should be. In the upper atmosphere, down on the surface, of course, it's warmer because we're in the sunshine, so that at this time of year the sun does have an effect, but it makes it warmer than the upper air temperatures actually suggest it could be. But nevertheless, a bit below average just now. Going out to the next few days, we're going to lift those temperatures up towards the seasonal normal actually, maybe go a little bit above, in fact, from around the 15th to say the 18th of July. Then we'll dip them back down a bit over the weekend and into the start of next week. It will turn cooler once again. And then for next week, we've got this big sort of split in the ensembles about what's going to happen. Some members of the GFS temperature ensemble want to lift those temperatures right the way up, getting back up in towards the hot category again later next week. And interestingly, the midnight run of the operational GFS model wanted to do that. Now that's run at a higher resolution than all the other members of the ensemble. It's the charts that we use for these videos. So when that's going into the hot category, you do have to take notice of it. But not all the members of the ensemble agree on this. We've got some that stay really quite cool or average going out through next week. So a bit of uncertainty about what's happening, I think, later on next week. But certainly the chances there that it could turn hot once again for the bank holiday weekend. The precipitation spikes show that we've got quite a bit of wet weather coming up over the weekend, actually associated with this dip in the temperatures from Friday into Saturday. Could be some quite heavy rain there, and then it turns quite dry. That's associated with the chance of building up the heat again with high pressure later next week. We keep it quite dry then throughout much of the ensemble, but that's for London. For Manchester, it does show that we've got more rainfall coming up in the next week anyway. But again, the trend is for it to turn drier then in the second week, so through next week it could well turn drier again. It is associated with that rise in the temperature, of the potential rise in the temperature next week. For the temperature anomalies for the next week, showing that we're going to be around normal, to be honest. This is taking us from Tuesday the 13th to Tuesday the 20th. We're in the very pale colours there, so pretty much around where we should be at the time of year. As we know, some days, like today, are going to be a bit below average, some days will be a bit above average, but overall the whole week should average out near normal. Then, of course, beyond that, we may go into that hotter phase going through the rest of next week. The precipitation anomalies for the next week, again, showing that rainfall is going to be very much near normal. Always driest in the south, but the red colour is actually where the driest weather is, actually going down into France now. So that's just showing that it is turning a little bit more unsettled over the next week. There will be some rainfall around. Driest weather will always be in the south, but really from the Midlands and Wales northwards, the precipitation rainfall is going to come out about where we should be for the time of year, a bit above actually around those western coasts. So the charts from the GFS model, first of all, showing that as we go through next week, we're going to find high pressure building up from the south. This is for Tuesday the 20th, so in a week's time the high pressure is building there to the south. And then the high pressure tries to take over, but on this particular run, the 6 o'clock run of the GFS model, actually the high pressure doesn't quite pull it off really. It does pull in this hot southerly wind very briefly on Thursday the 22nd, but it all breaks down in this area of low pressure coming in off the Atlantic. This is different to the midnight run of the GFS, so just in 6 hours the GFS has changed quite a bit. It just goes to show you how uncertain the weather is, I think, going out into the second half of next week. ECMWF shows that again for Tuesday. We're building that high pressure in from the south and the southwest on Tuesday in a week's time. And then the ECMWF wants the high pressure to really take over the pattern as we go through into the end of next week. So by Friday the 23rd, knocking on the door of the bank holiday weekend, the high pressure very much dominating. The weather will be warm, dry and sunny, perhaps not hot, but certainly warm. The temperatures possibly up to 24 or 25 degrees with that. Very pleasant indeed. And by the way, from that, you would expect the high pressure to persist for quite a few days. So that probably implies that the bank holiday, certainly starting with bank holiday weekend, will be largely dry. The GM is a bit different though with this idea of building the high pressure. It doesn't quite put it off to the same extent as the ECMWF. So on Friday the 23rd we've actually got on the Canadian model of the high pressure sitting in just to the west of the southwest of the country. This area of low pressure is up to the north of the country. We're bringing down quite a coolish northwesterly wind. So a lot of uncertainty, and from that you could possibly take that high pressure out of the Atlantic and pull down a proper northerly there for the bank holiday weekend. So a lot of uncertainty going out through the latter stages of next week, and I do want to emphasise that despite the fact there's the potential for some very hot weather or some hot weather going out towards the bank holiday weekend, it's by no means a done deal, and expect further twists and turns and changes over the next few days. Now this is the city forecast from the website weatherweb.net. This is for the long-range CFS March, just looking a little bit further ahead into September. It looks like the temperature is going to be holding up quite well really for the rest of August. This is taking us into August just here, and we're flatlining through the rest of August with temperatures in the warm category. Doesn't necessarily go hot, other than perhaps this peak up here somewhere around the 20th, 21st of August. So I'm not necessarily going to be hot, but certainly quite warm. And we keep that into the first few days of September as well. There's the 1st of September just there. But from around the 5th or the 6th of September, we do start to see the temperatures for London sliding off. And it certainly turns a lot cooler then between, say, around the 5th to the 15th of September. That 10-day period is much cooler. Maybe a little bit of a rise then in the temperatures briefly, 16th, 17th, and then we go very cool again as we go through in towards the 20th and on in towards the latter stages of the month. So there's very much a downwards trend there going on through August. You can see that quite evidently, that the temperatures hold up quite reasonably through the rest of August, but as we go through September we do very much see a downwards trend take place. Now, of course, you expect that anyway in September. It is a cooling month, but that's quite dramatic, really. Quite a dramatic change as we go from around the 5th or the 6th of September onwards. So that's a date to look out for. The 5th, 6th, seeing quite a big drop in the temperatures, 5th or 6th of September. The precipitation forecast from the CFS model showing that for the week up to the 26th of August, largely dry conditions, most of the rainfall in the northwest. The next week taking us through to the 2nd of September, the week ending in the 2nd of September, again largely dry, so it does imply late August into the first days of September high pressure quite dominant. And then as we go through to the weekend in the 9th of September, then the precipitation comes back big style. We find wetter than average anomalies there across much of the country, turning very unsettled from the 2nd to the 9th of September. And that takes us through then into the middle of the month, the weekend in the 16th of September, very unsettled with above average rainfall. So that certainly implies that whilst the first day or two of September starts off with high pressure, it could well all break down very quickly. Somewhere around the 5th of September turns much cooler, much more unsettled, and then we probably go into quite a wet spell potentially for 10 days at least, from around the 5th of September to the 5th of September. What we're talking about, the CFS March, just very briefly want to leave you with this. This is the sea level pressure anomaly for January. The CFS model is going out beyond January now. It's seasonal, it's experimental, it's not to be relied upon, but it's still showing this idea that we've got a lot of blocking going on in January at the northern latitudes. We're extending it from Greenland, through Iceland, through into Scandinavia, low pressures to the south of the country. That's a bitterly cold and wintry anomaly for the month of January. the CFS model keeps going for this over and over. It did back off from the idea a little bit over the weekend, I believe. I wasn't really checking the charts over the weekend, actually, but some people told me on Twitter that the CFS model was backing off from it a little bit over the weekend. But certainly today it's back to the idea of blocking big style for January. If it's right, it's going to be really cold January with a lot of snow. But of course, it's very experimental. It's not to be relied upon. So don't go running away with the idea that we're in for a big freeze up in January. It's by no means some very experimental model, the CFS model. But in the more reliable time frame, it looks as though we're going to be keeping it unsettled really over the next few days. Going into next week, we may build up some high pressure. It may turn warm, or bit of uncertainty about that, but certainly more anticyclonic influence going to the latter stage of August and start of September. Then look out for around the 5th of September, could turn much cooler and much wetter. It's the 5-day forecast tomorrow, so come back for that, but that's all for now. Thanks for watching.